So let's start with our call to worship. This is from Sean Neil Barron. Your body is welcome here, all of it. Yes, even that part, and yes, even that part. The parts you love and the parts you don't. For in this place we come with all that we are, all that we have been, and all that we are going to be. Our bodies are constantly changing. Cells die and cells are reborn. We respond to infections and disease. Sometimes we can divorce them from our bodies, and other times they become a permanent part of us. Your body and all that is within it, both wanted and not wanted, has a place here. Our bodies join in a web of co-creation, created and creating. Constantly changing us, scarred and tattooed, tense and relaxed, diseased and cured, unfamiliar and intimate, formed in infinite diversity of creation. Your body is welcome here, all of it. So take a moment and welcome it. Take a moment to feel in it. Take a moment to be in it. I have to tell you, I've been looking forward to today's service since September, when Jen told me what was going to happen. And we kind of figured out how we could put all this together and combine it. And I got to tell you that their artwork has completely exceeded my expectations. We won't talk about my artistic skills. They're not that great. But those pictures are really amazing. You know, when we think about self-portraits and we think about teaching children art and teaching anything, we adults think that we know everything. We've lived longer, we've been to school, we've had experiences out in the real world. It's our job to teach the children. But I'll tell you, sometimes, more often than we would probably like to admit, the children are teaching us. Looking at these portraits today, I know that they approach this project fearlessly. Hearts wide open. Not eyes wide open, hearts wide open. Because kids don't know fear and oppression and shame and guilt the same way we do. It's not part of their vocabulary when they're born. None of us was born with that in our minds. We, the parents, society, neighbors, the world, we layered those burdens on them. They weren't born with them. And sure, some measure of fear or caution is necessary. You can't survive in the world without being a little wary sometimes. But we don't want to leave our children paralyzed or fearful of living, as so many of us are. So the children opened their hearts and their souls, and they created honest self-portraits. And today we see their efforts. But what about you? Could you have completed this project? Could you have done a self-portrait? And what would yours look like? I hear chuckling out there. So I know one would be really good. At least one would be really good. I'm not sure what mine would look like. So maybe the question is, could you look at yourself enough to do the self-portrait? Could you be honest with yourself and do it? That might be the right starting point, because lots of people are afraid to even look at themselves. They tremble at the thought of having to look in the mirror. We heard Man in the Mirror, and how hard it was for him to realize, hey, it starts with me. A lot of people just don't want to see who they really are. Maybe they're ashamed of their circumstances, or ashamed of their behavior, or they've been abused or mistreated, and they feel they have no worth to see anyway. Or maybe they've bought into societal images of what worth and beauty are, and have somehow convinced themselves that they aren't good enough, they aren't pretty enough, they aren't smart enough, thin enough, strong enough, tall enough, whatever enough to matter. They feel invisible. So what's the point of doing a self-portrait when there's nothing worth seeing anyway? To someone who already feels as though they've been rejected by society or they don't fit in, what's the point in looking in the mirror? It's only going to make them feel worse. And even if you can bring yourself to look in that mirror, what are you going to see? Are you really going to look closely? Are you just going to skim the surface? How do you see yourself? Some people see themselves as what they have. When they look in the mirror, they see the Rolex on their watch, on their wrist, the diamonds in their ears, or even the Mercedes in the driveway. It's all about the things they have. And that's what their self-portrait is. That's their definition of self. Others see themselves as what they've done or what they haven't done in life. A woman who doesn't have a boyfriend, isn't married, or maybe hasn't had kids might think, there's something wrong with me. My self-portrait is flawed. She sees herself as a failure. Or a teenager who can't dance, doesn't have the right cell phone, doesn't belong to the right crowd, or whatever, might see himself as uncoordinated. The person who's in danger of losing their home to foreclosure because they lost their job might see themselves as a loser. And these are all very sad ways to perceive yourself. But for a number of people, it's real. It's real every day. Because the truth is, every one of us has a number of roles that we play. Roles that are based on our position in our families, in our communities, and in the larger world. Some of us try to keep them isolated and segregated, struggling not to let the boundary lines between the roles blur, but it doesn't always work out that way. A few of my roles are caregiver, seminarian, employee, speaker, congregant, citizen, and family member. I wear many different hats in my life, as do each of you. You're probably sitting there now going, yeah, I got this and this and this and this. But sometimes one role overpowers another. When I look at myself right now, I only see one role. I see student. That's all I see. Maybe because the schoolwork is driving me nuts, but what would I be if I weren't in school? I'm so engrossed in seminary that sometimes I'm afraid I might lose track of who I really am. So to keep that from happening, I carve out time to watch my favorite TV shows, Jeopardy, NCIS, Blue Bloods, Big Bang Theory. I try to keep in touch with my non-seminary friends too, because I don't want to lose myself in the process of answering my call. What roles do you play? My niece tells me that she went from being Suzanne to now being Alex and Olivia's mother. She's lost her identity. Do you get to be Sydney still, or are you just Halila's mom? There you go. Maybe the roles that we play are based on an emotion, or maybe they're a self-defense mechanism. Remember when we were back in high school and everybody had some kind of a personality? There was the class clown, the jock, the tough guy, the good girl, the serious one. And we still do that as adults, at our jobs, in our families, even in this fellowship. We all take on a role. The nice one, the tough one, the nurturer, the good cop, the bad cop. When I was a kid, I was always very serious. I didn't really want to go to parties, I didn't want to dance, I didn't want to be silly, because for me it was all about getting good grades, getting in the right college. I wanted to be a piano major, so it was about making sure my audition was perfect and getting away from my small town. But it didn't leave a lot of time for fun. Truth be told, I have absolutely no coordination and I couldn't dance. That was one of the reasons for not going to the parties. But nobody else cared about that. I was the one who missed out on the fun. Even today, I still can't dance. But I don't care. I might not be the first person out on the floor when the dancing starts, but at some point I'm going to get out there and do my little something. See, we're all playing roles, every one of us. And sometimes we hide behind those roles, wearing them like a mask. We want to stay hidden because we're afraid of being seen by others for who we really are. Or even afraid of seeing ourselves for who we really are. If we stay hidden, we can't be hurt. And personal growth coach Nisanda Neda says, we wear a symbolic or metaphorical mask over our authentic personality in the hopes that we will remain hidden. It is fear which creates the mask and fear which keeps it in place. The mask is hiding our true and most beautiful self from both ourselves and from the world. In its place is a mask of unbeauty. Always playing a role will wear you out. Wearing a mask all the time is tiring. It's not good for you. I'll ask the ladies to imagine what it would be like if you had to wear full makeup all the time. Never to be seen without it. Full makeup at the gym, at the grocery store, while you're swimming, while you sleep. It's just not good for your skin, and it's more than a little bit creepy. So, the image that popped in my mind right now was Tammy Faye Baker. But anyway, and that's more than a little bit creepy. So let's all agree to take off our masks. If we do it together, it won't be so bad. Let's acknowledge that our masks are devices of our own creation. They're not helping us at all. They don't let us see one another as we really are. Maybe way back when, we had a reason for putting on that mask. But we're safe now. It's okay to take it off. It's okay to take off all the makeup. The eyeshadow, the lipstick, the eyeliner, the blush, the concealer, the foundation, the mascara, etc. Take it all off and let the world see who you are underneath. Show us your self-portrait. And now that we're starting with a fresh, clean face, let's go back to that mirror. Look at yourself. I mean, really look at yourself when you go home. Look into your own eyes. Look at your skin, your smile, your hair, your hands. What do you see? I see my dad's hazel eyes, my brother's crooked smile, and the gray patch that every single person in my family has. I see the little girl who at different times dreamed of being a concert pianist, a veterinarian, a cardiovascular surgeon, and a million other things. I see the woman who now wants to serve her faith and her community as a minister. Let's keep looking. What else do you see? Do you have scars or blemishes? Look at yourself from head to toe. Do you like what you see? I got a scar sledding down Pitt's Hill in Oxford, and I still wear it like a badge of honor. I got it when I was 9 years old. Marvin Draper ran over my leg. And I have a scar from when I had knee surgery now 10 years ago. I see the thin skin on my nose that taught me that, yes, I too need to always wear sunscreen. What do you see? What you see when you look at yourself determines your attitude toward yourself. If you see yourself as ugly, you'll treat yourself as ugly. What you see when you look at yourself determines how you let other people treat you. If you see yourself as ugly, you'll let other people treat you ugly. If you don't think you're worthy of respect, no one else will either. So my wish for you is that you have a good meal, but is that you let go of your fear and take off the mask. Embrace your true self. Instead of being a professionally airbrushed photograph, let your self-portrait reflect who you really are. That wacky, messy, eclectic combination of grandma's nose, daddy's ears, and great-aunt Irma's fuzzy red hair. The survivor of relationships gone bad, and the blessed recipient of long-lasting, heartfelt friendships and true love. Everything you've done and everything you will be. When you look in the mirror, instead of seeing ears that are too small or too close together or whatever, see ears that have truly listened to the stories of others, who've heard birds singing on a Sunday morning and heard the crash of ocean waves on the shore. Instead of seeing a crooked nose, see a nose that smelled fresh-cut grass on a summer day, the smell of a new baby, and the wonderful aroma of fresh-baked cookies straight out of the oven. Instead of seeing short, stubby, wrinkled, or gnarled hands, see the hands that comforted a crying child, prepared meals for your family, and loved your partner. Instead of eyes ringed with lines and wrinkles, see windows to your soul, lenses through which you've collected the memories of a lifetime. Instead of blemished, freckled, or sagging skin, see the wonderful blanket that has covered you and kept you safe through these many years. Those things you see as scars and imperfections are merely evidence that you've been alive. In the end, I can't tell you exactly how to create your self-portrait. I can't tell you what techniques to use. I can't tell you what colors to use, how to start, what the background should be. Because you're going to see and produce only what you can see, or rather what you want to see. I just hope your self-portrait reflects the real you, your true self, the parts you like and the ones you maybe don't like so much, the parts that work and the ones that don't quite work as well as they used to. When you create your self-portrait, I hope you approach it heart wide open and include that combination of triumphs and disappointments, successes and failures that you are. I hope you see the distinctly human, wonderfully unique, and amazingly beautiful creature you are. In other words, I hope you see yourself as I do. May it be so. So when you get home today, start working on your self-portrait. Look in the mirror and be reminded that you are worthy, you are precious, and you are loved. Take off that mask and let your light shine.